Welcome to the Quincy Access Television Studios. I'm Mark Crosby. You're in for a treat today. We have members of the Queer Ensemble Project joining me in the studio. To my left is Mina Kim, and she's a cellist. And next to her is Sam Kelder. His specialty is viola. So welcome to you both. Great to have you in the studio. Talk about the Queer Ensemble Project. You are both founders. I guess, Kim, maybe I'll start with you.
Sure. Queer Ensemble Project is a chamber music collective. We like to bring a classical concert that's financially accessible to a queer group of people, but also to public, in hopes to build a community around music.
Let's go to, I guess, the founding of this group. You saw a need?
Sure, yeah. So our origin story, Mina and I were playing a concert together in late 2024, and we were just sort of having a discussion around the public discourse around anti-LGBTQ speech. And we thought, we are proud gay musicians, and we're ready to rally our community and to create music in a way that sort of brings people together rather than divides. And so we were brainstorming ways to make this happen, and we came up with this mission that Mina mentioned, where we're a chamber collective, so we play chamber music, which is, of course, our specialties and what we love doing the most, playing in very intimate settings. And we have so far brought our performances to many community centers to play for members of the senior LGBTQ+ community, but we've also given solo recitals and chamber performances like you'll hear in the early February dates here at the library.
Sometimes classical concerts can be inaccessible for many reasons, and one of the reasons may be financial, and we really want to bring more of a basically free concert, more of a financially affordable concert, and also to people who don't maybe come out to classical music concerts very often, and for example, what Sam said, to queer seniors. And one of the other programs that we're trying to develop is to bring it to high school students as well.
And with that said, are the programs different musically?
Sure. So we don't focus on exclusively queer composers, but there's certainly a heavy slant in that direction. So, for example, our upcoming concert, we're playing music by Caroline Shaw, Inti Figgis Bisueta, TJ Cole. And these are all living queer composers. And then we're also playing the music by Samuel Barber, who is, he's now dead, but he was a gay composer active in the early 20th century, early mid 20th century. But then we're playing music by Haydn, and he's just an amazing, great composer who was probably not gay.
How much of your performances are educational as well as musical?
There's definitely an educational part to the program. This particular one especially, we kind of thought of it as like there's a theme of personal journey that everyone goes through, and the concert starts with Over the Rainbow, the famous song, and then each segment kind of explores particular like inner journey or the messiness of personal journey that hopefully comes out in the end. You come out as someone you like better of yourself. So so there's going to be some sort of theme as well.
How difficult or maybe exciting is it to put together a theme for any given concert?
I think having a narrative arc to a program is extremely important, especially because you never know who's going to show up to a concert. It could be, our colleagues who have devoted their lives to classical music, and they're tired of hearing the same things over and over again, and they want to hear kind of a fresh approach, even if it's a piece that they know very well, like this Haydn Sunrise Quartet. When we explain that piece in the context of this narrative arc, it gives it kind of fresh meaning for someone that may have known it their entire life. On the other side of the spectrum, if it's, someone that just saw our poster 10 minutes before the concert starts and, oh, Queer Ensemble Project, let me check that out. I've never been to a concert in my entire life for classical music. Then it's like really crucial that they have this sort of through line. It's kind of, the narrative is like a suggested way of listening to the piece and a suggested way of experiencing the evening. So because that's so important to us, the creation of the program and the narrative arc is very exciting, and I would say it's very much a collaborative effort. For this specific program, Mina and I got together several months ago and talked about a couple different pieces that we would like to include, and then we opened up the floor to the two violinists that will be joining us and said, all right, this is kind of our idea for a theme, and these are, I think at that point we had 3 of the pieces picked out. Do you have any suggestions that you think might kind of like augment this idea that we have? And they completely pulled through, especially Emma Powell, our first violinist. She's kind of like a wizardress, a sorceress at this kind of program architecture, whatever you want to call it. And she put more than the finishing touches on this program. She really did such a beautiful job helping to flesh out that narrative.
And Theo Ramsey will also be joining you at this particular performance.
That's right. And Theo also contributed quite a bit to this process. So I should give them their due respect as well.
Well, let's talk about the upcoming performance, or at least mention the date and where. It will happen at the Thomas Crane Public Library, and it will happen on Sunday, February 8th from 3 to 4 p.m. The name of the program, as you had mentioned, Mina, is Over the Rainbow. So, as an audience member attending this concert, you had gone over some of the composers, but what would you like a participant, an audience member participating, to gather from this performance?
Do you want to take that?
Sure. Yeah, I guess I'm trying to imagine what it would be like to sit through a concert that we're going to be presenting. My hope is that they gather or think about that their own journey. Like, you don't have to be a queer person to have a particular personal journey. Everyone goes through different phases of life, and I'm hoping that they can also relate to all those different phases of life and how they've become who they are now. And yeah.
Since you
that's my
passed that
hopes.
off to Mina, do you
Yeah.
agree with that?
I do agree with that. I think in general, art is great for spurring introspective thought. So we present this idea of, you know, a personal journey, and these are pieces that kind of help you think about how you may connect to your own personal journey, kind of like Mina mentioned. So I don't think there's one takeaway that we think everyone is going to have. What would be really beautiful is if, as we talk to audience members after the concert, they say, oh, you know, when you were talking about sort of the messiness that a journey can represent in a life, it reminded me of, you know, back when I was in graduate school and finding myself, and I went through these trials and tribulations, and then everything turned out okay. So hearing those kind of personal stories from audience members, I think would be the biggest treat for us. And we're just kind of like nudging them to start thinking in that direction through the music that we've programmed.
Our audience will be in for a treat, as we do have a performance that is just moments away. So thank you once again. It's a
Thank you,
pleasure.
Rick.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, and good luck with the project.
Thank
you.
Thank you at home for watching, and please enjoy this next piece and continue to support local access programming in the community in which you reside. Take care.